The purpose of this presentation is to inform my audience on how to safely approach, handle, and store a firearm. According to data, in 2015, 2,824 children were killed in that year alone due to firearms, most of which were due to incidental or accidental firearm discharges. I'm an avid Second Amendment supporter, and I frequently train with my firearms and go to educational training seminars, etc. Before we ever approach a firearm, and we get to that point, who thinks this gun's loaded? You think it is loaded? Okay. So you think it's loaded and you think it's unloaded, you're both wrong, and here's why. You have no way of telling if this gun is loaded or not, okay? So before we approach it, we're always going to assume it's loaded, okay? So now, I'm going to drop that magazine out. Do you still think it's loaded? You do? You still don't? Okay. Again, you still have no way of knowing. So you're going to pull this slide back and you're going to manually check to look down that chamber and make sure it's cleared. This allows you to know for certain that there is no ammunition in this firearm. Now, even though a magazine is empty and removed out of the firearm does not mean that this gun is unloaded necessarily. There can still be a round in this chamber, which is why you are going to always check the chamber manually. Now, this firearm doesn't have one, but some firearms do have a mechanical device in this area which will allow you to look inside of the chamber to see if there's a live round in the gun or not, okay? Now, this sounds like a great feature, right? But it's not, because here's why. Mechanical devices can fail. So even if your firearm has this mechanical device, you should still always check your chamber manually by looking down in it to ensure it's clear. Now, even though we know this firearm is unloaded at this point, that doesn't mean that I can just go pointing it wherever I want, right? Because we are always going to assume this gun is loaded. Even though I know it's not, we're going to control this muzzle, okay? By always pointing it in a safe direction. You never point it at a building, a person, or an animal, or anything else that you do not intend to shoot. By controlling where this muzzle is pointing, I can control what happens, right? So if it discharges right now, it's shooting here. It's not going to shoot anyone in this audience, and it's not going to shoot into the building or somewhere else that someone may be. The next thing, and I cannot stress to you how important this is, okay? If you do not take anything else away from this video, please take this with you. As you will notice, my finger has been here the whole time. This is called trigger discipline, and is the most important thing you will learn today. Under no circumstance whatsoever do you touch this trigger unless you are intending to shoot the firearm or you are attempting to disassemble this firearm for cleaning or maintenance. If you keep your finger here on the trigger guard, you can control and make sure that at no time does this trigger get pulled. If the trigger doesn't get pulled, the firearm doesn't discharge, okay? The next thing is probably the most ignored part of firearm safety, and I think it's also one of the most important as well. At no time should you ever store a firearm in a pocketbook, a book bag, or anything else where it is loose, okay? Because if you do, you're exposing your firearm to foreign objects that may be in your pocketbook or somewhere else, and if it hits that trigger, it's going to discharge, okay? So what you need to do is invest in a decent holster. And when I say a decent holster, this is the Black Hawk Serpa holster, and it covers that trigger at all times. In order for me to release this firearm from this holster, I have to push this button in and then pull the firearm out, okay? That means nobody can just come up to me, children or anyone else, and can pull this firearm out of that holster. The next one I have is for when I want to conceal my firearm. This one goes inside of my waistband, and again, it slides right down in there, but it's covering that trigger. So no matter what happens, no matter what this hits, right, that trigger's not going to be touched. It's not going to go off, okay? And now the next thing is you always want to make sure that's locked back when you're not touching your firearm, okay? So the next thing is to safely store your firearm inside of I encourage you to get a digital safe to do this with a backup mechanical lock in case digital safes fail. But if it's in a digital safe, you want to store it unloaded with the magazine separate from the firearm and your ammunition separate from your magazine. This means that if somebody comes and finds your safe, they don't have your ammunition and they don't have your magazine, okay? It also means that children, if they come and they find your firearm, it's unloaded, and in order to shoot it, they would have to manually load it, pull the chamber back, and then fire. Chances are that's unlikely for anyone who's not trained in a firearm to know how to do or to do in a quick manner. However, the only thing with that is to make sure that you have it somewhere close enough to where, in the event of emergency, you can get to it in a quick manner if you have to, and then to shoot it if you have to. Okay. So in conclusion, you have learned here today 3 very basic steps that can easily save your life or someone you love. And it is to always assume that a firearm is loaded, no matter if you know it is or isn't. Okay? When you approach it, it's loaded at all times. Secondly, never point the muzzle in someone's direction or a building. Never touch the trigger. And always safely store your firearm. I thank you for your time, and I hope these measures help save your life or someone you love one day.